Hello, my name's Andrew Brooks. Welcome to my YouTube channel. This video, we're going to be talking about a Beatles track that was only ever issued once and was never ever re-released. And you can see why when I explain to it. But before we go into that particular track, let's rewind a little bit and go back into Beatles history to explain how it came about. Beatles compilations are nothing new. In fact, the first one was issued while they were still as a band in 1966, when they didn't even have an album ready for the Christmas market. So a Beatles oldies but goodies was released with only one new track, and that was Bad Boy. But let's roll on a few years. In fact, let's roll on a decade, when the Beatles were sort of coming to the end of their contract with EMI slash Capitol, depending on which country you're from. They were coming to the end of their contract with EMI, and once they'd sort of renegotiated some stuff, EMI, realizing that they needed to capitalize on this, issued some compilation albums. 1976 saw the release of this Beatles rock and roll music double album, as it says on the title, consisting of rock and roll songs recorded by the Beatles. The Beatles didn't actually have very much of a contribution to this other than it's their songs, and in fact they hated this cover, and Lennon even offered to design a cover for them to replace this, but that's what we got, and that's what was released in 1976. A year later we got this one, Beatles Love Songs, and once again it does what it says on the tin. It's a double album made up of Beatles Love Songs with a fantastic Richard Avalon photo in the middle. That's probably the best thing about this album, is the photo in the middle. The songs we've all heard before many times, taken from many different albums. Moving on 3 more years now to 1980, and we got this compilation, Beatles Ballads. Again, single album made up entirely of Beatles ballads. Interesting thing about this one is allegedly this is meant to be the original artwork for the White Album, originally going to be called Doll's House, but that apparently is what the artwork was going to be. Still in 1980, EMI then decided to release Rock and Roll Album on 2 separate LPs. So we had the double album now issued as single albums on the Budget Music for Pleasure label, which was EMI's cheaper label. You pick them up in Woolworths and places like that. Again, not very inspired cover, just drawings, and exactly the same track listing as the original double album. Moving on towards the end of 1980, and we've got this bumper set. Now this is a fantastic set. If you haven't got this, you need to get a copy of this. It's 8 LPs, and it's basically what the Red and Blue album should have been, because it's got tracks from practically every single Beatles album, unlike the Red and Blue, where they missed a lot of Revolver and things like that. This is well worth the money if ever you get a set of this. Plus, it contains ultra rare mixes. And if you haven't seen my video outlining the different mixes, click here and it will take you to the video where I sort of explore this in a lot more depth. This is the last Beatles release that was available before John Lennon died. How's that for a bit of sad information? EMI Capitol obviously twigged they're onto maybe a good thing, because there was no new material from the Beatles coming out. People were still buying the LPs, the original LPs. 70s were probably a bit of a lean year for Beatles fans. 80s is sort of building up, particularly after the murder of John Lennon. And in fact, the next compilation to come out was this one, Real Music, which featured music from their movies. It's not too bad, I think. Probably the best thing about it is the little booklet that comes with it. Lots of photos and information about the films that the Beatles starred in. And then possibly the last LP that was issued as a compilation LP that practically had nothing to do with the Beatles. They had no input, as far as I'm aware, of the release of this, is 20 Greatest Hits. And as I said, it's 20 Greatest Hits of the Beatles. And they even had to sort of try and cram in Hey Jude, which has got an awful fade out on this. They cut it short because they just couldn't wedge them all in. Obviously the forerunner of the Beatles One album, but this is 20 Greatest Hits. I don't think it did too bad in the charts, actually, because People were sort of like, wanting a bit of nostalgia. Lennon had just died, and that's what people wanted. EMI duly followed suit and issued 20 greatest hits. So just popping back now to 1982, and I talked about the movie medley compilation album, and as I said, it does come with a really nice booklet inside, plus a nice inner sleeve as well. There's the booklet. This album came out, and here's the American copy. It's like promo copies, demo copies are available on yellow vinyl. There we are. That's the yellow vinyl version. They are numbered on the back as well. And there's the British and the American side by side. There's no difference other than the yellow vinyl wasn't actually issued in the UK. Now, I know you're all thinking, why has he shown us a load of compilation albums? He's already done a video about compilation albums. Yeah, let's get to the crux of the matter about today's video. Capitol decided to cash in on the Real Music LP by issuing a single. They wanted to issue a single. Now, they were inspired by a Dutch record that came out called Stars on 45. This had Beatles sort of tracks sung by a sound-alike singer, sort of a John Lennon sound-alike singer. And it was a monster hit all over Europe, certainly in Britain. I'm guessing it was also out in the States, Australia, places like that. And it reached like number one, Beatles tracks number one. So Capitol obviously thought, hang on a minute, maybe we should be doing the thing with real music, Beatles music, excuse the pun as you, but joking aside, yeah, they thought we could do the same thing with the real Beatles music. So using Frank Sinatra's sort of sound engineer, mixing engineer, John Paladin, he then edited the tracks to fit into a 7-inch single, which was going to be called Beatles Movie Medley. The songs included in Movie Medley are Magical Mystery Tour, All You Need Is Love, You've Got to Hide Your Love Away, I Should Have Known Better, A Hard Day's Night, Ticket to Ride, and Get Back. And they were all put together as a 7-inch single track. Now, the original B-side for this 7-inch single was going to be sort of open-ended interviews that were then compiled together just to sort of have the Beatles talking about the making of A Hard Day's Night. And it was actually called the Fabs on Film, or Fab 4 on Film. And that was going to be the original B-side. And in fact, it was issued as a promo single with that on the B-side. So where are we? Here we are. It's this one here. So it's Beatles Movie Medley, and it's on the back. It's got Fab 4 on Film. So this was the American promo copy. That's the label there. This is actually a promo copy. It's got a P prefix on the label. If I can show you the label. Where are we? There we are. Let's try and line that up so you can see there. And there were quite a few, I'll say quite a few, there was a few hundred that were pressed up for release with that as the B-side for sale in the shops. The problem arose, however, with the Fab 4 on Film, talking about Hard Day's Night, is the interview was actually owned by Walter Shenson, who made the film. And he objected to the interview. Obviously, he wasn't going to get any money for it, so he objected to the interview being released on the B-side of the single. So promo copies such as this exist. Very, very few copies exist with the Fab 4 on Film as a normal release. Rumour is that they were scrapped and destroyed. However, I should imagine a few did get out. So if you've got Beatles Movie Medley, Fab 4 on Film, without a P in front of the number on the record, you've got yourself a little rarity there. And yeah, let me know if you've got one. Love to see one. But so yeah, anyway, that's the promo copy, which was released to radio stations and newspapers, etc. When it was eventually released, certainly in the US on the 22nd of March in 1982, so here's the US copy, exactly the same cover as the one I just showed you. However, on the B-side, it now says, I'm happy just to dance with you, George track. Kept the same serial number, but obviously without the P for promo on the label. So this was released, as I say, in the US on the 22nd of March 1982, and it actually peaked at number 12 in the charts. And there we have it there. As I said earlier, EMI Parlophone weren't too keen on releasing this as a single because, you know, they thought it might be a bit tacky. Stars on 45 had been and gone, so to speak. However, 2 months later, they were convinced to release it. And this is the British copy of the single. If you notice, there's a slightly different font to I'm Happy Just to Dance With You at the bottom there. And same front cover, same track listing. It's literally just the different font across the bottom there. And it was obviously issued on the Parlophone label. The American one was issued on Capitol, as I showed you. And this was released in the UK on the 24th of May 1982, and this reached the giddy heights of number 10 in the charts. So not too bad for a sort of a put together single. Now we come to the point of the video. This single was released in 1982. 2 years after its release, it was deleted. It was actually deleted on the 31st of May 1984, and to this day, it's never been re-released. It's not appeared on any compilation album. It's not appeared on anthology. It's almost as if the Beatles, EMI Capitol, want to sort of wipe it away and wipe the slate clean. As I say, it's never been reissued. So if you're a fan, a collector, and you haven't got one, something new for you to try and seek out. If you are a fan, already got one, try and see if you can find one without the P, the promo copy without the P, because that's super rare. Either way, these are sort of, you know, they're going to be hard to find, especially with these thin paper sleeves. The sleeves are going to get battered because, yeah, you're looking at over 40 years old now, these records. So if you haven't got one, try and find one. If you have got one, try and find a better copy one. Also, try and find that promo. I find this kind of stuff quite interesting. Let me know what you think in the remarks, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.